So, hi everybody and welcome back to the C++ tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 69 and in this video we are talking about the character again. The keywords here which you can see is char 8 underscore t and 60 underscore t and char 32 underscore t. And actually we already talked about this kind of type, which is the character type char, and in this case these other ones here which we have are similar to this char but not the same. Similar, why? Because they are also defining characters, but they are reserving space, and we already talked about space in our last video where we talked about long, short and so on. And in this case, when I click, for example, this char 8 here, we will see they are just saying, let's see what they are saying here on top. They are just saying, when I read this one a little bit, that this char 8 type for UTF-8 character representation required to be large enough to represent any UTF-8 code. So with other words, this character what we learned, this char 8 type, is just made for a special UTF-8 code in this case. And on the other side, what we are going to learn later is the 60. Same, there is again a type for UTF-60 code, and the char 32 is for UTF-32. So you can see this character is actually very easy to learn. I mean, easy to understand. But if you use later in your coding anything with UTF code, then you have to check if it's not better to use one of these characters, because we talked about this in the last video. There is something like space, and if you want not waste too much space, for example, you want only use 8 bits, 4 bits, 60 bits or 32 bits, then you have to choose one of this kind of types for character. And important here to note is, in modern computers it's not so wild, but for special devices, for example mobile or other devices which has not much space, then they think more about so low space types like this one, 8, 60 or 32, if this is enough, so they will not waste too much space. For example, here on top, actually we have here one more character which we can learn as well as two, and this one is the char. And when we see this one, type for white character representation, and this is probably the biggest type from all this character what we have here. Let's read here a little bit more. It says here, required to be large enough to represent any support to the character code point 32 bits on system that supports Unicode. So it is at least 30 bits. A notable exception is Windows. Okay, and then it says that it's an exception is in Windows and so on. But the white char is 32. Interesting, this one is also 32. So you have to read in the documentation why they use white char here and char later here. But this kind of stuff is again a little bit more, let's say, not for starters, but we starters have to know only that this kind of types exist. That's why I'm showing you that. In later programs, when you see coding and they use one of this kind of characters, you have just to know, okay, they want reduce the space and don't want waste space. That's why they use, for example, char 8 instead of character char 60 or the normal char. We have learned this is the normal char which we learned as a type. These are types too. Distinct type means here a separate types which is recognized by the programming language. Let's make here an example. We have here, for example, when I write here char, you see this bluish color, this blue, the blue color indicates this is a primitive type. Primitive type means built in C++. And when I write here char 60 and T, you see that works too. Let's write here some names. Character 1, and assign a default value. And how we made this was a something like that. And then we can make here character 60, well, for 60-bit. Let's write here 60-bit. And then we can write here B, B, and that would go on with the other char 32 T and character 32-bit and so on C. But here is something important. I have not wrote here character 8 in my case, and that is something what I wanted to show you here too while I'm explaining you this one. But wait, there was white character too, right? Let's write this one too, we char T. Okay, let's write this one too, we and T. This is white character white 32-bit. Let's write it so D, something like that. And this kind of stuff you have to read later, but as a beginner we have just to know that this kind of types exist and they are used to reduce the space on the device which they are targeting for. But I missed here one, right? You see here I don't wrote this 8. Why? The point is I want to show you that sometimes you have to update your compiler. In my case, this compiler which I'm using here, not the compiler, this IDE Visual Studio is not updated, which means I can't char 8T. I can't use that. And if I write here character 8-bit, you see and let's write it 0, 0, something like that. I can't use that, and the reason for that is there are two reasons. First reason, this one is not the actual IDE because this is IDE 2019. The second reason for that is I have not included the character 8T library updated. I could update this one manually, which means I could open here a place in this IDE and say, now you should know this char 8 too. But I have not done this, that's why I can't use that. And I want to show you this here actually, not here. So we have here keywords, and sometimes you see this green explanation, and this green explanation means when they included this to the new keywords in C++. And you can see this char 8T, for example, is 2020. The other ones, they was all 2011, and this char was all time there. So with other words, if your compiler is not up to date, it can happen that it's not recognizing this new character set. If anyone is using that, I could have a problem. The same goes for other ones too. For example, they added in 2020 this new keywords here down and so on. You can see they are changing all time these keywords. So C++ and all programming languages are not, let's say, not finished. They try to make them easier, or they try to change to make it more find bugs or something like that in general. So just keep that also in mind. And with that said, of course, there is a way how you can fix this easy. I could, like I said, I could update this to the version 2022, or I could just include here one more library, not this library here actually. This is a special place for the programming, for the IDE which I use to say there is a new primitive type, but this is then a special place. So with that said, I stopped this one here because this is just to note for you. And as a programmer, like I said, we have only to know that this other character types exists, and they use it for UTF. This 860 and 32 are most time used for UTF codes. But we as a beginner will probably use here only this normal character. And this one only in special cases, but we don't need this as start later. You should know this when you have a target device or something like that. They will use this more often than. So with that said, if you have any more questions, ask in the comments. I try to answer them. And if not, then we see us in the next video. Bye.